Welcome to Pod Squadron. This is the show where we talk about the full scope of the Star Wars experience, from the movies, TV shows, games, animation, comics, books, themed experiences, zines, your mama's favorite t-shirt with Lando Calrissian on it. Whatever the case may be, if it is Star Wars related, we are in the mix. So we are headed into the end of the year here, and we're having a good time as we go along. And I just want to really quick touch on all the guests we have here. We have director, fight choreographer, performer, puppeteer, and the Chinese pirate, Andy Lowe. How's it going, Andy?
Doing okay. How's it going?
It's going great, my man. And we also have writer, blogger, and occasional cosplay artist, the one and only hot nerd girl, Tracy Deering. How are you doing, Tracy?
Oh, I'm peachy.
Are you sure about that?
I mean, I'm coming at you with a migraine, but I'm going to power through it because I'm a professional.
That's right. We are professionals here. Thank you for that. And we also have performance artist, aerialist, and events designer and coordinator, the Kaleidoscope creature, Lexi Lee. How are you doing, Lexi?
What time is it? It's 8 o'clock. It's got to be 8 o'clock because we're starting this. I can't keep track anymore. I'm doing so much overtime at work right now because of the holidays. I'm just lucky I'm working right now.
They can just watch us all nap. Is that cool?
We get a little overlay of Corellian transports floating over us as we sleep or something. Yeah. And I am Mr. Benja, artist, former game developer, game shit talker, whatever you want to call me. And we are the Pod Squadron, and we're glad to be here for the final episode for us of 2020.
Second to last.
Second to last.
No, us.
Yeah, second to last.
There's going to be one more episode of the show, but wait a minute. What are we talking about, guys?
You don't know what day it is either.
I know what day it is. What are you talking
Today
about?
is the 12th. So
Oh,
the next
my gosh.
episode's the 19th. And then...
Basically, we're all hot messes right now. That's
Okay, so what happened? I looked at my calendar and I went ahead and X'd out this week. And I was like, wait a minute, okay, that's what happened. I shouldn't X out my calendar before I actually go to bed. So there we go.
I've claimed being the brainless one this week, so you can't have it.
this is like
yeah.
lockdown problems, right?
Yeah, everything looks the same from indoors. I don't know the cycle of time anymore.
Laughing hurts my head. Ow.
No, but nobody's allowed to make Tracy laugh today.
But how's everybody's end of the year wrapping up? We're starting to get close to everything wrapping up holiday year. I don't know if anyone's doing any traveling. I'm not.
Hell no.
I mean, I'll probably go down to San Diego, but I'm in the middle of producing 2 digital events. Yay!
Awesome. Anything on in your world, Lexi?
Just looking for the next gig after the holiday gig ends. Yeah, that's fun. That's really fun. That's what everybody wants to be doing right before Christmas. Job hunting.
The mercenary life.
Yes, you're part of the guild. So
Yes.
finding your next bounty puck. Yes.
So who knows where I'll be broadcasting from next?
Basically. Oh, we definitely got a good show for you guys today. There is a lot of news that just got dropped. We don't usually go heavy on the news, and we're not going to go too heavy into it this time, but the Walt Disney Investor Day happened, and it set the internet on fire. If you didn't see something from Star Wars trending, then you're probably, comatose right now, and you weren't on the internet at all, because somebody should have told you something about what happened during this Investor Day. And we're going to get into that. And next of all, we'll get into what happened in the last episode of The Mandalorian. We're going to do our recap, review, discussion of that, of course, and we'll let you know before the spoilers come on when that happens. So until then, don't worry about the spoilers. we'll just get to the news. And of course, we'll have a little fun along the way and may drop some surprises or not. But we got the Disney Investor Day thing. That's pretty much Andy's. Disney is your wheelhouse, so I'm going to let you jump into that. Go ahead and just get started.
Oh, whatever do you mean, bitch? So Thursday was Disney Investor Day. This was a very big event. They do basically 4 quarterly events for all of their shareholders, basically just to do a State of the Union. But this was their huge one, right? So this was a 2.5-hour event of them updating everything going on in the company. Now, mind you, this is in the shadow of like about 32,000 layoffs across the company. Many of those in parks. Our Anaheim parks are all still shut down. So it's been a little bleak. But that said, they've done a lot of shifting to streaming. Disney Plus hit 86.8 million subscribers as of December 2nd. Put that into perspective. Netflix is about around 170 million, but that's over however long Netflix has been up. This is in 1 year. That's huge, and even that's up 18% from the 73 million subscribers they had only a month ago.
I have to admit, I did not see that coming, that they would grow that quickly. I really didn't.
They've been really smart with all of these brands that people love, right? I mean, they've got Hulu, ESPN, FX. Hulu just dropped Animaniacs that people love. FX has a number of major dramas, and they're still announcing new shows like American Horror Story. There's a new Ridley Scott Alien series that's coming to.
Wait, these are all going to be on. Oh, wait, are these going to be on Disney Plus or just streaming in general?
This is across all of their streaming platforms. So they have the main 3, which is Disney Plus, ESPN, and Hulu. Basically it's kind of all divvied up. They're able to say all the kind of family and adventure entertainment is with the Disney Plus. All of the more edgier or rated R stuff is going to Hulu. All the sports entertainment stuff is going to ESPN. This is some major flexing for them as they move into this kind of COVID reality, right?
So wait, by comparison, do you know how many CBS All Access has after their first year? Just out of curiosity.
I do not know, but not even close.
Anybody in the Twitch chat want to look that up? Want to Google that for us?
Who's following CBS All Access like that? I know the Bold
Star
and
Trek
Beautiful have like
Hello.
I had to take a shot. I had to take a shot.
You know how Benja, how you say that this is actually Mandalorian Plus? Basically, that's like Star Trek Plus.
Paid subscribers for CBS All Access and Showtime standalone streaming services have climbed to 17.9 million.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
They're even making a transition. So they're actually, ever since Viacom and Paramount merged, they're going to be shifting that to Paramount Plus and try to rebrand. So that's all coming, but there's a lot of stuff to look up. Again, a lot of really amazing shows. A lot of the feature films are being shifted to Disney Plus exclusive content. Their animated features, their live action features. Marvel did a huge, we're about to get into Lucasfilm, but Marvel did a huge drop for everything coming up for the next 2 years. But we're not going to get into that. Go look that up. There's plenty to see. Let's get into Lucasfilm, because Lucasfilm alone.
So before we leave the subscriber numbers and that crazy thing that's happening, we just want to remind everybody: be sure to subscribe and follow on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, all the channels. We're out there. We want to get our subscriber numbers up to 2.2 million at least by the end of the year. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, and Benja, if we only listen to podcasts, can we listen to it on a podcast channel?
Yes, you can, Andy.
Oh, wow.
He catches the pass. Yes, you can. You can definitely listen to the podcast on your favorite audio listening device, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, Podstreamer, all the different Castbox is the one I was trying to think of. Stitcher is another famous one. We got them on all of them and also on YouTube. So be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and we'll thank you for the support.
I
Thank you,
have
Andy.
not even heard of most of those streaming services.
Exactly.
You know, it's weird. There are so many of them, but we went and took the time and tried to hit the major outlets. So if we don't have yours on there, just hit us up and we'll make sure that they're connected and they're listing Pod Squadron in there. I just ran into a friend today and he started talking Star Wars. So I made him take out his phone and subscribe to Pod Squadron over there. And I was actually hoping, like, oh God, please come up in the search. And we came up right away. So
Nice.
I was happy about it. Yeah.
Excellent.
That was you. I feel like that was all your hard work, Benja. So I feel like we have you to thank for that.
Cheers. You're here.
Round of applause.
The production staff was in the DMs like, you better get this working. I was like, all right, I'll do it.
The voice of Rob.
All right, so carrying on, Andy. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. Thank you. So the Lucasfilm slate, they dropped 10 new streaming series, including some adaptations of non-Star Wars stuff like Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemis. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correct. As well as the new Willow series starring Warwick Davis. They also teased 2 Star Wars feature films and the final Indiana Jones feature. This is hopefully a redemptive, final bow for Harrison Ford as the intrepid archaeologist.
You didn't like the crystal skull? You didn't like them swinging through the trees with the monkeys?
What crystal skull? That doesn't exist.
Crystal Head vodka? No, that's something different.
I have that.
How about Crystal?
I have that vodka, and I have a picture of me shaking hands with Dan Aykroyd with my bottle of Crystal Skull vodka.
Well, let me ask you this, Andy. I don't know how Lucasfilm operates internally, but is Star Wars a thing and then you have these other divisions, or do they do people cross the line and just work on Star Wars when they can and then go work on indie film or something else? How does it work? Because I know in some companies they keep it really separate, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, the better analog to that is Disney, right? Disney has multiple studios and divisions within Walt Disney Entertainment, right? Disney Animation, Disney Live Action Pictures, Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm. Everything within Lucasfilm is kind of Lucasfilm, right? And of course, that covers everything from Skywalker Sound and Industrial Light and Magic. And, of course, these are contractors that do special effects services for almost the entire industry, right? So the coverage is huge. But of course, it is the same, production teams kind of handling everything that is in the Lucasfilm wheelhouse. So,
okay, that's what I was getting at. Is there a danger, or somebody might worry about, a lot of effort being put into, say the Indiana Jones feature, and that pulls away from something else that they're doing, because you can make the argument that they're getting pulled thin now with all the stuff that's going on.
Well, here's the thing that the way I think about it, right, is that this has all been in pre-production for the last 3 or 4 years, likely, probably since Nancy Kennedy took on, right?
Nancy?
Kathleen, sorry.
Oh, Lord.
Who's Nancy?
Nancy Kennedy is actually a great theatrical director who I've worked with before. So we're all tired. Oh, Lord.
We've established it's been a day.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Andy's fire station.
Yes. Yes, there. Shall we get into the feature films that were announced?
So we're going all Star Wars now, right? We're done with Lucas?
Going all Star Wars. Yeah.
Let's go.
Feature films or series? Or both?
Feature films first.
Oh, okay.
So the 2 Star Wars feature films they announced, one was the Taika Waititi feature. So this is confirming rumors that have been running for the last year. No details on that. Just that Taika Waititi is helming this, and that's all they had to say.
Wait, did you see his post about it and how he was like, what? That guy? I can't wait to see how he ruins it.
That's perfect.
So okay,
I love him so much.
for people who may not follow the directors and anything, why is Taika Waititi? Why does that name drop make people get excited?
Thor! Sorry, I'm Norwegian. Thor!
Yeah.
Has anyone seen like What We Do in the Shadows or
Jojo Rabbit.
Jojo Rabbit?
Oh, that one broke my heart. Oh.
So New Zealand-based director, writer, very talented, very offbeat sense of humor. And also in terms of Star Wars, he made his Star Wars debut in last season's Mandalorian season finale, directing that or chapter 8.
And he was the voice of IG-11.
Indeed.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. All right, what's next?
The next one, this one is actually really exciting to me. So will be helmed by Patty Jenkins, who we all know has done a wonderful job with Wonder Woman. She is doing a new film entitled Rogue Squadron. So if you know Rogue Squadron, you're like, wait a minute, that rings a bell. Rogue Squadron was the famed, infamous X-Wing squadron of pilots in the original trilogy, led first by Luke Skywalker and then taken on by Wedge Antilles. There are zillions of books and comics that kind of followed them. But this is a new film. The direct quote, this is actually, if you go and find Patty Jenkins' Twitter, she posted a great little video, just very personal video about how her father was a fighter pilot and lost his life while in service. And it ignited this desire in her to turn this is a quote, it ignited all this desire in me to turn all of that tragedy and thrill into one day making the greatest fighter pilot movie of all time. So Kathleen Kennedy's quote was, "The story will follow a new generation of starfighter pilots as they earn their wings and risk their lives in a boundary-pushing, high-speed thrill ride. The legend of Rogue Squadron has been long beloved by Star Wars fans and will move us into a future era of the galaxy."
That's, I mean, in Wonder Woman, she got to kind of pay homage to her dad too then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. As a Navy brat, I love that.
Yeah.
That gets me all verklempt.
The little teaser is actually great because it's just a personal video of her on rollerblades, and just talking about her relationship with going fast and speed and, kind of connecting with the memory of her father as she, definitely go check out her Twitter. Okay,
I'll be right back.
I love that they chose her having that kind of personal connection, and it's also just such classic Star Wars to me because the original trilogies had all those dogfights that were mirrored off of real dogfights, and so it seems like such a great way to kind of pass the baton, to hand it to somebody who's going to be drawing from real life inspiration.
Yeah, it's just like, it's Space Top Gun. How can you not love that? So those are the two features that they announced. Very exciting. That is set to release December 23rd, 2023. So it sounds like they're pretty far along in pre-production.
Nice.
Obviously some time to get filming, but it's out there.
See, that sounds like it's so far away. And then I'm going to blink and it's going to be 2023. I'm going to be like, sweet.
I mean, we're already in December. I mean, it's still, to me, March 270, right?
Yeah. This is like the year that didn't exist. The year that we forgot.
Yes, we're all living in the post-Thanos snapping reality, right?
Oh, yes.
Except this time when he snapped, his fingers slipped all funky. He did something.
That reminds me, when I was a kid, I thought that you snapped with your ring finger, so I could never fully snap. It's like you tried to snap.
That's weird.
Okay, So let's move on to. I don't want to suck up all the time with this because we could talk about this all night. But so the next, let's get into all these streaming shows. Right, so these are native to Disney Plus. First up, this is actually set in the High Republic era, or rather in the tail end of the High Republic era. This is a show called The Acolyte. This will be led by, this is a mystery thriller from Leslie Headland, creator of Bachelorette and Sleeping with Other People, and one of the brains behind Netflix mind-bending series Russian Doll.
Wait, The Bachelorette as in the reality show?
No, not The Bachelorette. Bachelorette. I don't know, actually.
Bachelor. What show is that?
I know even less about that.
I wish I did a little bit more research on that.
I don't think it'll change my opinion either way, but
so the log line for this is that shadowy secrets and emergent dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era.
So, speaking of eras, has the High Republic ever really been touched on in anything that people would know?
Well, the High Republic hasn't really launched yet, right? I mean, we've talked a little bit about all the High Republic novels that are coming in January. There's a little bit of content. I know, like, there's an Oculus Quest story that Yoda narrates or something, but ultimately, the High Republic isn't supposed to launch until this January. So that's kind of interesting, right? Is that
wait, it's coming out in January? Like in a month?
No. The High Republic. So the idea being is a whole line of stories that take place about 200 years before Episode 4.
That's cool. Is it like the Section 31 of Star Wars?
Well, so the Acolyte, the thing that this brings to mind the most is basically a Sith-focused storyline, right? There's a lot of Twitter action that people are wondering if this is maybe the origin story for Darth Plagueis,
dun, dun, dun.
Or could it be just some other, Jedi in this time of the High Republic that is supposed to be, as they've been pitching it, the High Republic is like a high time for the Jedi Order in very early, formative time. There is no dark side presence at all. So this is perhaps the first Sith presence in, 100 years or something, right?
So you said 200 years before A New Hope?
Roughly, yes.
So this is all still before Episode 1.
Yeah,
the Phantom Menace.
Well before
we haven't seen
the
this.
New Republic.
So no one's seen this before in an animated or a live action form.
Right. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like they've announced some of these books and some of the main characters that are making up their Jedis and Padawan. They have teased that a young svelte 600-year-old Yoda is around during this time, right?
I mean, come on, baby Yoda looks old, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Ring Capacity is saying that he thinks it's going to be about the first Sith apprentice.
That would be a good guess. Yeah, so it's very interesting. This is the other thing too. I remember, like, there were rumors about a untitled Leslie Headland led Star Wars project. No one knew if it was a feature or a series or anything. But at that time, and that would be like about a month ago, they were saying it was a female-led series. That was the only thing we knew. So, very interesting.
My bet is it's the real Baby Yoda series.
That's what I just said in the chat. Somebody, Baby Yoda.
It's the real Baby Yoda series.
Actual Baby Yoda.
Actual.
Wait, we've got somebody who's only 5 chapters into Mando. Okay, oddball. We'll give you a spoiler alert when we start talking about Mandalorian.
Yes.
I think,
go ahead.
Oh, by the way, I was going to say, I think it's just a really quite clever move on their part to have Leslie Headland and have that make it a thriller mystery right off the heels of how popular Mando has been as a genre series in and of itself. So I love that they're, going ahead and combining another part of the Star Wars versus another genre.
Are you familiar with any of her shows? Are you familiar with any of?
Not as much. I'm mostly familiar with Russian Doll.
Cool.
You don't watch The Bachelorette? Sorry. All right, let's go on. We got animation to get on to. I'm sorry.
Can I tell a quick story about Russian Doll? Like, that's the one that stars, what's her name? Natasha. What's her name?
Yeah. I know.
From American Pie, the redhead with the red hair, curly hair. I used
Black Widow?
No. I used to work across the street from the Rainbow Room and the Key Club, and I would go across the. Yes, thank you, Natasha Leon, whatever. You know what I mean.
I don't know.
Leon,
I do.
I guess Leon. Anyway, I used to work across the street from those two places, and I would go there sometimes for lunch. And I walked into the Rainbow Room to pick up a to-go order. And I just sort of like looked behind me because I was looking around waiting. And Natasha Lyonne was sitting at like the back table. And as soon as I looked over there, she growled at me.
She growled?
She was sitting there by herself and she just like went, and I was like,
all right.
And then I took my lunch and I left. I was like, but I think she went through like a little bit of, what's the chick who played Lois Lane and she like went crazy and they found her in a bush, like with her teeth missing. I think she went through, didn't she go through a period like that? And then she got Russian Doll and she's been fine ever since. But I think it was during that period. That's my Natasha Lyonne story.
Now I need to look that up because I don't know enough about Natasha Lyonne to.
See, you're not helping Benja's bias against us actor and artist types.
Thank you, Margot Kidder. And yes, she literally growled at me, Paul. She literally growled at me. I'm in my own business. I get growled at by Natasha Lyonne. Anyway, continue.
Continuing. Okay. 3 new animation series. Actually, 2 animation series and 1 kind of vague thing. So I'll get into that in a sec. First up, Star Wars Visions. This is an anthology animation series featuring the biggest names in Japanese anime. This is set to release sometime in 2021. The way they kind of describe this is just they literally recruited a number of the biggest names in anime and said, do a Star Wars story. I
Not
imagine,
to be confused with WandaVision.
Yes. But I imagine if you like remember like what is it, Gotham Knights or the Animatrix, something along those lines, where it's just they just opened it up for Japanese animators to interpret Star Wars. And
Cool.
The next one, this one should be really a lot of fun. So if anyone's a fan of the Clone Wars, the Bad Batch are coming. This is
With Fennec Shand.
That was a really interesting reveal. The Bad Bitch. Hashtag.
That came up in the development rooms.
Wait, is Ming-Na, when is she doing the voice?
We don't know. They didn't announce a cast, right? I mean, obviously, we know that what's his name is attached to do all the clones, of course.
Tamura Morrison?
No. Is it D. Bradley Baker? No.
Oh, who does them for the animated
It is D. Bradley Baker, I think. Who's an amazing voice actor. But it looks, they did release a trailer that's available online. And yes, there does appear to be a character that shows up in 2 or 3 shots that has the full Fennec Shand helmet and costume design, which is a pretty cool thought, right? This is supposed to take place right after or just as the Galactic Empire is declared. And we'll see whether or not they seem to be. It looks like Space A-Team.
This might be why she can't go join them on the mission, because the ISB would know what she looks like. Okay, sorry.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So yeah.
Da 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 da. Sorry.
But in the timeline, yeah, that would be about 20 years.
I actually didn't realize that was a 2021. So that's so okay. If that one's in 2021, so we're and Star Wars Vision. So it, from what I understand, they're pretty much going to try to have a continual something coming out on Disney Plus, so no one stops subscribing.
Well, I mean,
I love this.
I think they're going to do a little bit of a relay race with Marvel, right? Because we know we get WandaVision starting in January too, right? So, yeah. But the Bad Batch was premiered in the season 7 of Clone Wars, so we got a little bit of a taste in that of what that will be like there. So that should be a lot of fun. The last thing in animation is Droid Story. So the quote that I pulled that I found kind of interesting: the intersection of animation and visual effects offers new opportunities for us to explore. This is a new series about C-3PO and R2-D2 with a new master of some sort. So they say,
hold on,
journey.
Hold on. What's that supposed to mean? The intersection of animation and visual effects offers new opportunities for us to explore. Like, how does that...
That's really expensive art school talk, is what that is.
It really is.
I love it.
Is it kind of like the storyline stuff of video games, like that level of animation?
I mean, that's the question, right? I mean, Lucasfilm has been pioneering special effects and animation things. I mean, right now they're building more and more of these stagecraft stages with the LED walls, right? To meet the demand of all their production. So presumably they've got. So I'm just imagining the Lucasfilm guys have like been R&Ding some new thing, and they're like, I want to play with this. If George got to make Jar Jar, we want to make this thing.
And doing that kind of makes sense for droids, because when you do it with humans, I don't know, maybe there's something that's easier to do with droids, or it's all machinima or something. I don't know.
So the logline is this epic journey will introduce us to a new hero guided by the most iconic duo on a secret mission known only to them. And that iconic duo is R2-D2 and C-3PO. I just want more R2-D2. I'm happy about this. I feel like I haven't had enough R2 in a while.
I wonder if Anthony Daniels will be involved.
Oh, he is.
He says he's in for the ride, like all ride of Star Wars and C-3PO droids he's in for. So
the man needs a job. He wants a job.
He's the only one who's been in everything, right? At this point, because he's still alive.
I guess he hasn't been on Mandalorian yet, though.
Oh, well, I mean, the movies. He's been on all the movies.
Yeah. Okay, so we have the Galactic Civil War era coming up now. That's another era that we're talking about. What's going on with that one, Andy?
So we have 3 streaming series announced here. So the first one is Lando. So this is going to be directed and led by Justin Simien, who directed Dear White People. Also, of course, starring Donald Glover. There were rumors a while back that Billy D. Williams was attached, but there are no announcements specifically to that. But this is a to-be-determined release date. But that should be a lot of fun to kind of return to Lando, as we saw him in the Han Solo Solo movie.
I suspect this will be more interesting than we think.
And I expect it to be plenty interesting.
If you've never seen what Donald Glover does on his own, and what Justin Simien, Dear White People does, it's interesting stuff.
Is it confirmed? Is it confirmed to be Donald Glover though? Or
yeah.
He is brilliant on his own. I mean,
but in the announcement, they literally said it's Donald Glover.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The only thing they didn't mention was Billy D. Williams, but that was a rumor a while back, right? I mean, I could totally imagine Billy D. Williams, hello, children. Let me tell you this time
when I got my 3rd cape. I'll tell you that story.
I would love that. I would be all for it. And then finally, we have a title for the Casian Andor show, which is just Andor. This is the Casian Andor K2SO series with Diego Luna and Alan Tudyk. This is set up as a spy thriller leading up to the events of Rogue One and Episode 4. They have announced a cast. They are starting filming now in London at the new stagecraft stage that they're building in London at the Pinewood Studios. Mon Mothma is said to return, and this is the same actress who played Mon Mothma in Episode 3. And they're really going to dig into this kind of a spy thriller, exploring kind of the moral ambiguity of, all the wrong things you do for the right causes. And this is set to release in 2022.
I am too.
I love Diego Luna.
I'm really excited with all the representation in these.
I know.
More Latino representation, and it's Diego Luna, and you can't be mad about that, especially since they're not giving us very much of Pedro Pascal's pretty face. So it's another guy with stubble. Give us Diego Luna.
I'm sure he will muss his hair for you.
I just want to snuggle. I want to snuggle his head.
Just snuggle it. Just where's the hair?
It's like I just want his head as my teddy bear.
But there is a sizzle reel on YouTube. I definitely encourage you to check that out because they just started production. There's some great interview with him and talking about his excitement coming back to this character and coming back to this world. You can see some of the sets they've been building. They touted costumes for up to like 200 extras plus their original cast or their core cast members. Should be some cool stuff for that.
It's interesting. The industry and the people involved seem to be very excited about it. But when you ask around to the community, at least the community that I've seen in the chat boards and things, it's kind of like Andor. Oh, that guy, the guy from Rogue One. I guess so. I guess they're doing a show about that. So it's just interesting play, seeing how Disney and everyone else is reacting to it versus the people on Twitter. They're like, okay, Andor.
Yeah,
I got it.
But they said the same thing about a show about a Mandalorian that wasn't Boba Fett.
True.
Exactly. People said the same.
Not exactly the same. This is way.
Yes, they did.
No, they said that, but this is on another level. It's like, okay, the guy from Rogue One, okay. A Mandalorian is like, okay, this is kind of cool, I guess. It's not Boba. Okay, but it's a guy in a suit. I'll take it. That's just my perception from what I was getting from the interweb.
Once it starts airing, they'll be on board.
To me, it's all about them taking a cue from Marvel in terms of being smart about keeping things genre specific. Right? Is that Star Wars doesn't have to be a single genre. If they really lean into the kind of dark, gritty, thriller, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy aspect of the pre-Galactic Civil War, there's a lot of story to mine there.
Yeah, and Ring Capacity here in the Twitch chat says, I like that some of these are limited series. I think that's a great idea. I think all of us here will totally agree with that. You got a little story to tell. Go ahead and tell it. Expand the universe. Tell some great stories and move on. I think that's a great idea.
British thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, streaming's got to figure out a new way to do this, right? I mean, there's a great model there in BBC. The next series, and this is the one that, of course, everyone is excited about and even more excited about after their announcements. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And Kathleen Kennedy just hit it off straight out the gate and just said, Hayden Christensen is back as Darth Vader. She didn't say Anakin. She said Darth Vader. And she followed up with saying, quote unquote, it will be the rematch of the century, which implies there will be a confrontation. Which is fascinating.
But in A New Hope, when Vader and Obi-Wan meet on the Death Star, it's kind of implied it's the first time they've seen each other since Revenge of the Sith, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, if you take it line for line, right? He says, when we last met, I was but the learner, now I'm the master, right?
You're right.
But that said, as far as Obi-Wan Kenobi is concerned, he left him for dead to melt in a fire pit. He hasn't seen Anakin since that. Therefore, he has no reason to know that he's more machine than man, or that he's even survived.
Well, but then it's also implied that once he dropped off Leia, and dropped off Luke on Tatooine, then he just stayed on Tatooine and was a hermit and didn't really go anywhere. So are they going? My question for this series is, how are they going to reconcile him being a hermit on Tatooine and obviously having other adventures post Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah, it's a good question. We'll have to see. I imagine. I hope he goes off planet. I hope he leaves. Because I don't want. I mean, obviously, I don't want Darth Vader to show up on Tatooine, right? But we have to see. This is an opportunity to see how Kenobi learns that Anakin's alive, that he's, out there, and yeah,
that could be an interesting kind of cat and mouse story where they're both kind of finding out about each other without necessarily having that big confrontation, and it's leading up to that. I don't know. It's very intriguing to me. So, and that was definitely a very carefully thrown out line by Kathleen Kennedy to get this kind of discussion going on. So, very cool.
I mean, now that I think about it too, like Luke has a whole exchange with Obi-Wan where he's like, I can turn him, or in Return of the Jedi, he says, I can turn him back. You're still good in him. And Obi-Wan's response is, I once thought as you, right? I don't remember the whole line, but I mean, I don't know. So maybe Obi-Wan fails at trying to turn him back.
This makes me happy because young Obi-Wan being a hermit on Tatooine is just like a whole lot of pretty wasted. just throwing that out there. I like the pretty.
The galaxy deserves to see it.
I mean, don't deny the galaxy that face. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
I just made it awkward for the boys, but that's okay. I don't care.
It's all good.
I care about my own that visual stimulation.
It's all good.
Very pretty man.
Ages like fine spotchka.
Hey, you know what? I mean, I would love to for Ewan MacGregor to have a flashback with Satine. I mean, I would love to see a live action Satine. But
oh yeah,
some Attack of the Clones level romance.
Cow surfing. More cow surfing. That's what we need.
No.
Romantic cow surfing.
Yeah.
Romantic fruit forcing. I don't know what that is.
Romantic fireplace boob heaving.
So anyway,
someone's kink.
I don't know where to go after floating fruit and boob heaving and yeah. Go ahead, Andy. This is great.
This has so far been a kind of a fun episode, actually. I gotta say. Okay. Last but not least, the Favreau Filoni verse. We have 3 shows. That's right, 3 shows. So the Mandalorian season 3 will return. They do specifically say that it will be premiering Christmas 2021, which is an interesting thing.
Oh,
that's
a year?
the late. Well, that's more than a year, right? Because we've been having fall premieres. They're specifically saying Christmas 2021, which makes you wonder what's going to happen between then. They didn't announce anything.
Like a pandemic?
Well, yeah, it could be that. But there's still the rumors that the Boba Fett limited series is filming now in Los Angeles, which is why Mandalorian will not start filming until January. But they have not announced that yet, so who knows? Also, that show will be joined by 2 new shows that Filoni and Favreau will be helming. One is Ashoka. So a confirmed spin-off show for Ahsoka Tano.
I think Lexi's excited.
You're kind of rocking some Ahsoka shoulder here going.
All right.
So of course, yeah, that's really exciting. I mean, I'm kind of hoping that, basically I mean, presumably we're going to see Sabine Wren from Rebels, right?
Ezra?
I hope so. Please.
So Lexi, what are you looking forward to in this one? I got to know.
I would love to. I want to see who they cast as live action Ezra if they bring him back. Presumably, man, I hope they do that. Live action Sabine, please. That would be fantastic. I am so wildly excited. I had something on that I wrote. It was just that I'm really excited about. I'd mentioned it before. I said like, oh, representation, but I mean like to have Diego Luna and to have Rosario Dawson as like headlining their respective shows is just like makes my heart so happy. I'm excited to see where they take it. Maybe they'll have Thrawn, and maybe it'll be the same. If they bring Thrawn into Mando, maybe it'll be the same actor. They better. I mean, that would make sense, right?
I think so. They're gonna totally like Buffy Angel this.
They are gonna. They're gonna.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so getting into that, right? So we have the Ahsoka show. I'm also equally excited. I love the character. I also love that Ahsoka offers you opportunities to get into all the weird Force stuff, right? Like with her connection to the world between worlds and the whole Mortis arc gods or the Mortis gods. Like there's opportunity to get deep into that mythology.
Absolutely.
It's funny talking to people who aren't into the weird Force stuff. They're like, what the hell are the wills, man? Wait. The living Force and the other Force? Wait, what? It kind of gets weird sometimes, just so you know. But it's cool.
So the next show, also helmed by Favreau and Filoni, is Rangers of the New Republic. So this is a show that they did not really... So both of these shows, they didn't really say much about them or mention a cast. But presumably, this is a show... possibly the Cara Dune show that's been rumored. And when we think about all of these kind of characters that they've been kind of lifting up this whole season, like Carson Teva, I could see this actually as a really interesting premise of these, group of ex-rebels, current New Republic soldiers whose job is to basically just, go out into the outer rim and figure out what's going on with all these Imperial remnants.
Which, like with Carson Teva, when he's coming in and out of all these episodes, I'm blanking on the guy's name from Kim's Convenience, the actor who's like a major Star Wars fan. Yeah. But I feel like there's so many stories we're missing in between his little drop-ins that I want to see all those stories that are, and then what would be cool is if they show him and then they show him dropping in on the Mandalorian episodes. Yeah. And then going off and doing other adventures.
Paul Sun Hyung Lee.
Yes. And then dropping off and showing like him talking to Cara Dune and then jumping off of it.
Yeah.
I just had to look up Carson Taylor. I'm like, I had to actually look him up. I was like, wait a minute, which guy is that again? Okay, that guy.
I mean, you know that like the story group were probably like just fucking with Filoni, and they wrote it for Wolf, and he's like, no. So like, fine, we'll invent Carson Teva.
So Ring Capacity here is saying that he wants to see more stories about the average Joes, but that would kind of be an episode, like a series about the random Joes. And my mouse isn't working again.
Oh no!
Oh, there it goes.
So all right. So can I run down this release calendar? Are we
not quite out of this yet, right? So the log line here that they said for these three shows, that set within the timeline of The Mandalorian, these interconnected shows, along with future stories, will excite new audiences, embrace our most passionate fans, and will culminate in a climactic story event. So that implies truly a Filoni Favreau verse.
I just really like climaxes.
Some Crisis on Infinite Earths, but Star Wars feel.
and per what you were saying, Tracy, I will not be surprised to see a tease of a Thanos-like tease of Grand Admiral Thrawn. I mean, that's still pure conjecture at this point, but I mean, that would absolutely make sense of letting Thrawn be a big bad across these 3 shows.
I could see Matt Smith playing Thrawn.
I mean, I'm
Got,
fine
the
with
cheekbones and the chin.
I'm still fine with what's his name, with Lars Mikkelsen.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah, he would be a good live action too.
Just paint him
You
blue.
wouldn't need to change a thing. Paint him,
Oh Lord.
give him the Mystique treatment.
Yeah.
You guys, we're like an hour in and we haven't even talked about the episode yet. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah. That's
It's a big week, you guys. It was a bad week for me to be brain dead and for us all to be tired.
Seriously. Benja, do you want to run through this?
Yeah, sure. So, well, with all the stuff going on, of course, you've got a release calendar. Let you know what you're dealing with here. Mandalorian Season 3, Christmas 2021. So we're not going to go far from this season into the next season. We pretty much will have it up pretty soon. Star Wars Visions, the animated one, in 2021. Star Wars The Bad Batch, 2021. Indiana Jones 5. Actually, I'm going to leave off the non-Lucas ones. I mean, non-Star Wars ones. Star Wars Andor 2022. Rogue Squadron, December 23rd, 2023. Oddly specific. It's a movie. Obi-Wan Kenobi to be determined. Rangers of the New Republic to be determined. Ahsoka, Lando, The Acolyte, A Droid Story, the Taika Waititi film, all to be determined, but that is a lot of stuff on the slate. They once said that we may have Star Wars fatigue. Obviously not the case, because they're doubling down with all of this Star Wars content. Whole lot. We may be able to get into a little bit of what we're excited about later on towards the end of the show, but we got to move on. Anything else on the list there? Anybody want to jump in on?
I'm just glad they're bringing Warwick Davis back.
Yes. And Marvel
right.
has proven that we don't necessarily get fatigue if the product is good.
That is true.
Okay, we should talk about the episode. Should we do
we
spoiler warning? Okay. Spoiler warning.
I got so much news going on that I was just like, where am I at? How many shows is this? I lost count. All these actors. It's a pretty wild time. But back to the current and back from the future. Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 7, aka Chapter 15. This is where we put our spoiler warning on. We're just going to do it from here. So now, if you haven't seen this episode or previous episodes of The Mandalorian, we're letting you know right now, we're going to be dropping it. Some things are happening, and we're getting towards the finale. So give us that synopsis and overview, Andy.
All right. Synopsis. Chapter 15, The Believer. Great title, actually. With help from the New Republic Marshal of Planet Navarro, Cara Dune, Mando has arranged for the release of Migs Mayfield, Bill Burr, an ex-Imperial deserter. Huh?
Mayfeld.
Mayfeld? What did I say?
Field.
Oh, Mayfeld. An ex-Imperial deserter who previously double-crossed Din Djarin last season in Chapter 6. The prisoner, with Mig's memory of Imperial access codes and protocols, Din, along with Cara Dune, Fennec Shand, and Boba Fett, hope to slice into Imperial servers to find the location of Moff Gideon's Star Cruiser and rescue Grogu before Gideon can harm the child as part of his insidious plans.
I just realized, Andy, that your intros like that,
it's intentional.
That's the crawl for our episodes.
It's totally intentional. No,
we got to make your
like when I read these when I read these off, I imagine like the Clone Wars, like
It reads
music in my head.
All right, so what do we think about this one? I enjoyed it, and geez, it's getting close to the end. They dropped some things on us. General sentiments. I just want to know how you guys feel about it right quick.
excellent director pick for this one. I mean, all their directors are talented, but I know I said that in chat earlier with you guys. I am so glad they picked Rick Famuyiwa to direct this episode.
Yeah.
And didn't he direct the other Bill Burr episode too?
Yes.
Yes. what he said. No, I loved the plot points used as opportunities to develop and deepen character, to tie into character arcs further. That's why I mentioned Rick Famuyiwa. I think he's particularly good at doing that.
Was he one of the fighter pilots that Jon Favreau brought in? It was like Dave Filoni, one of the female directors, and
Deborah Chow.
Yeah,
it was all. Yeah, he was one of the 3 directors that did.
Oh,
that did
bye, Andy.
Oh, we've lost him.
We lost Andy. He'll be back.
So yeah, it's funny with the short seasons that they're doing with Mandalorian. It's only 8 episodes. I'm usually one that's pushing for a lot of chain serialized plot elements, but this one actually even at the very end, it wasn't one. It was a character show, and we got to. And I think that's leading up to the ending where we get to see how these characters play out. We got we got Mando and Bill Burr kind of playing off of each other, and we're really getting into these characters. And I think that's an interesting play on the episode right before the last one. I was expecting a cliffhanger, but I don't know, Lexi, maybe you can give us some insight on that type of play that they're doing with how they're laying out the story.
So interestingly enough, and I thought it was so brilliant the way that they managed to do this, because I don't see many films, TV shows that manage to give you a big payoff moment, like Din Djarin taking his helmet off, for the second time? It's the second time in the series that he's done it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, that we've seen his face. He took it off in the village, but we didn't see his face.
Yeah, it's the second time that we get that the audience gets to see his face. And so that's a big payoff moment for an audience. And they've managed to do that and turn it into a build. Kind of, how we were talking 2 episodes ago when we said, it was Ahsoka's, when we went, there was a lot of action. The character the character build was there, but the dramatic tension we felt was missing. And then the next episode, they just they destroyed the Razor Crest. They took Grogu away from us. They did all and they just pulled the rug out from us. It's that build. And so they've just given us. And literally, because right down to the psychology of connecting to somebody more when you see their face, they've just given us Din Djarin at his most vulnerable. He's at his most vulnerable, but he's also at his strongest. And I think they've really laid out what his challenge as a character is clearly for the first time. And Mayfeld has a big part in laying that out as well. The question is never, what is Din Djarin willing to do? Because he's a Mandalorian. We've already seen that he's willing to put his life on the line for some crazy things. So we know how far he'll go to get Grogu back. Insofar as will he risk his own life? But you finally get the answer to this question of he's willing to reconsider what the way means to him. That Grogu means so much to him that he's willing to abandon the definition that he has of the way when we meet him, because Mayfeld kind of points out that's what is it? Is it your helmet? Is it just any helmet? Are we just not allowed to see your face? What is it? Which really solidifies what we have been talking about in previous episodes, that the question is really what does the way mean for our Mandalorian? And he has to define that. So this is the first time where we've seen that. So the stakes are as high as they're going to be, I think, for him, so that we get set up in the next episode to have some kind of they're gonna I don't know what they're gonna do to us emotionally in the next episode, but it's gonna be something.
Did you so I cut out, of course, but
You're back.
Yeah, I'm back. Did you talk about like kind of the dark mirror effect with Mayfeld and Mando?
Oh, they're
didn't
like the yin yang of each other.
I have not seen a character foil used that well in a long time. Like usually when
Yeah.
people say like, "Oh, character foils," like it's something you hear about in like your like intro classes for like theory or writing or directing or whatever.
So what do they mean by character foil? So set this up for the people who may not.
So, and it's been a hot second since I've had to define a character foil. That should have been something I had ready to go. That's something I should have had ready to go. And yet, so character foils are basically a character that exhibits opposite or conflicting behaviors in order to reveal things about the first character, or the main character. And so in this case, you've got Mayfeld and you have Mando, and it's brought into really, really clear relief that they are foils. When Mayfeld's like, we're not alike, and Mando's like, we're nothing alike. Like the standard, like I'm nothing like you. It's like
So
that's when you know.
Can I like reference like some of these specific lines really hit me, right? He says when he's talking about all of the villagers that they drive past, he says the Empire, the New Republic, it's all the same to them. He talks about how if you believe, if you're from Alderaan, you believe one thing. If you're from Mandalore, you believe another thing. But neither of them exist right now. Seems like your rules start to change when you get desperate enough. Everybody's got their lines they won't cross until things get messy.
Yeah, and that's right. And so that kind of ties into what I was saying while we lost you for a moment, which is that we see that the real question for Din Djarin in this season is not, are you willing to make sacrifices for this kid? Because he's a Mandalorian. He goes out of his way to do scary shit for, money. Man, in case anybody was ever wondering what the Taken speech, Liam Neeson's Taken speech would sound like in the Star Wars universe, I think we got our answer.
That was great how he parroted the speech right back to him. Although it did make me wonder why he was giving up the element of surprise. But just hearing him throw that back in Moff Gideon's face was kind of worth it.
Yeah.
I wonder if Moff Gideon's like, talking to any other possible Moffs out there, just like, hey, like, look at this voicemail this guy sent me. It's crazy. He's just like, I'm coming for you. Who does that? Why did I get this voicemail?
No, he's ISB. They don't talk. They're so secretive. Although I keep in my head mistaking it for IBS, which is like irritable bowel syndrome, right? I have to keep like every single time I think of ISB, I have to like take a mental like pause and be like, it's SB, not BS. Okay, cool.
And we got. It seems like a lot of people are definitely getting into what Bill Burr brought to the show. We hadn't seen a more somber side, I guess, of him until this episode.
Who
and we got to see
such a good actor, by the way.
That too, yeah.
Get a little drama flexing.
Interesting.
Yeah, Aaron Bruce in the thread said, and from chat said he stole the show. I definitely agree there. Oh. And Sieber Maki also commented, I really appreciated the look in his eye when he decides to blast for the officer. Yeah, just all these little bits that people really enjoyed.
Fun little like just note from a directing take. A lot of times when I'd be casting a serious scene, I would often audition or pick a comedic actor, because for comedic actors to be funny, they have to be genuine. Yeah. And and so when you toss them into a serious scene, they're very genuine about it.
The other thing too, I just loved the juxtaposition of, right, like getting out of that scene you're talking about, Lexi, and the next thing we see, like we go through this action scene, right, and the next thing we see are, well, we're happy to see TIE fighters and stormtroopers backing them up because they've basically saved them, and you see these stormtroopers cheering for them. Right, and it's gritty, and their armor is dirty. It's like it looks like it's out of like they're in the trenches.
It humanizes
in World War I,
them,
right? And
how did those stormtroopers have good aim all of a sudden? By the way, those are the only stormtroopers I've ever seen have such good aim.
Well, there's a story tease about that, but we'll get to that in a sec. Or I don't know. Should we get into that now? About Valen Hess?
No, not just yet.
Okay. Because
that scene, and we're talking about the transport scene where the other transports are getting blown up, and then the TIE fighters come in. Part of that actually bothered me a little bit.
Yeah.
Intentionally, it was intentional that they did this, but it kind of bothered me a little bit because, you've got these guys sweeping in, saving the day, but the rhodium, is it?
Yeah.
Rhydonium.
Yes. The rhydonium that they're carrying, that's not a good thing. The Empire hasn't been helpful to the villagers. And when you look back, you kind of thought of those pirates as being bad guys, but they were doing a noble act by getting rid of this. Well, and it didn't kind of hit me until back to Bill Burr's acting. He was kind of like, yeah, didn't think I'd find myself cheering for the Empire. And I was kind of like, oh shit, I was kind of cheering for the, it was just weird.
The brilliant thing is that he turns around. Sorry.
They're just good propaganda film techniques.
Yeah.
Like just on a basis of that, just good propaganda film techniques. That's it.
The brilliant thing is Mando opens the window, he shoots at the guys, he's like, pirates. And then the next reveal is they're not trying to steal the rhydonium, they're trying to blow it up, right? Which means these are rebels, right?
Right. And speaking from a director's point of view, that scene where he is shooting out the side and then he goes back in and goes up the hatch is all one cut, which I thought was really brilliant on the director's part, because it really puts us in the place that we're supposed to be in, and it gives us a good perspective.
Yeah, to me, that's just key. Rick, the director, I mean, you see that if anybody has seen Dope, that movie too, he's got a real talent for taking sequences that could just be pure plot or action and really how did I say it? He's got a talent for pulling moments of raw vulnerability out of his actors, and he's got a talent for taking things that could just be action and finding like the genuine human perspective on them, like the visual perspective, to kind of make you inhabit it and identify more with characters.
Yeah, Ring Capacity says in the chat, those pirates were freedom fighters. Mando killed 30 rebels.
Yeah.
How does that feel?
Well,
stings,
killed
right?
or maimed. I mean, not all of them died.
True.
The ones on the bikes, I think they were probably toast. like I'm just thinking about the grenade to the bike going. How fast were they going?
But we got to see his spear skills, which is what's going to, like, I mean, now we know, like, the Beskar spear versus the Darksaber, how that's kind of play out. Like, it's like, okay, he knows what he's doing with a stick.
And of course, Game of Thrones fans already knew that, but
And hopefully we still get right. Don't do that to my heart. I've had a long day. You're talking to the person who may or may not have dealt with her stress by starting a new Fallout game and then making her husband, spending a half hour making the husband look like Pedro Pascal, even though he you only see his face twice, which is kind of my point. You only see his face twice.
But in Game of Thrones, isn't that the style that he used is a very Japanese style, isn't it?
no, he trained with a wushu.
Oh, wushu. Okay, so it's a Chinese.
Yeah.
I kind of hope. I mean, maybe they won't have time to include it, but I kind of hope there's like a scene with him and Boba Fett sparring, like training, right?
Even if it's just for practice.
Right? Yeah, sparring, like just like with like.
Okay.
Like hopefully they can do that because of Tamora Morrison's his experience with his traditional Maori combat styles.
Yeah.
To have a right.
Can we talk about his armor for a second and how it got a new paint job, except for
pretty paint job.
The dent? Like that was like the one thing that he left. So his helmet just looks like a Death Star.
Hey, you got to leave some things alone.
It's like a memory, right? Like he just didn't fix that dent.
I gotta say, my wish list for one of these days, if they do the Boba Fett series or whatever, I really would love to see a live action Cad Bane. I love that character.
Oh yes! Oh my God, I have a friend who does that on stilts, and it's amazing.
Oh, really?
What?
Yes,
You
yes.
need to send me
Shout out to
that.
Cog Bane. Yeah.
You have to send pictures of that. We'll be watching your
And he'll be
Instagram.
on stilts all day. Oh yeah, he's part of the Star Wars steampunk universe. So anybody who's been following me for a while knows it. But can we also talk about how, like, okay, so we always see the mythosaur, but on this time on his breastplate, but on the right side, we see the symbol for Jester, right?
Yeah, the Jester, the little baseball.
Yeah. I just thought that was so cool. And I don't know if it was there before and I just didn't notice it, or if he added it, but it was just a nice little shout out because we've been sort of seeing little bits of him, even if it's in like the Mandalorian writing, right? Like we've been seeing things about the mentorship that Jester gave to Jango Fett kind of sprinkled throughout this season since Boba Fett came back in.
Speaking of characters, I would like to see live action because we had Cad Bane. I would love to see a live Asajj Ventress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So a couple quick story elements from this episode I want to poke about. It was an interesting choice that there was absolutely no Grogu.
Yeah.
Just
missing.
missing.
For the first time.
And I thought at the very end, they may show a picture of the door to his little cell with the napkin holder cuffs and everything.
I want to see
but
the baby.
Exactly. So it was just a weird pull, and it makes me want to know what happened. Did anything happen to him? It's just this question mark that was so obvious because he wasn't in there at all.
More of that build-up method. I'm telling you, they're withholding. They're withholding. They're really teasing us. They're really teasing us hard.
When you said question mark, my eyes immediately went to your little thought bubble up there, Benja. Sorry.
I'll make more. Go ahead, Andy.
What was the other story point that you had, or did you have another one?
Oh, this was interesting. Right when the show started, instead of giving Mando the normal, really heavy Western theme, I usually don't think about music themes the first time I watch it, but this time when it really played through, it was kind of this more mechanical, dare I say, slightly Empire-ish sound to his intro. It was not the really natural, organic Western sound that we usually get.
That's interesting. I didn't notice that.
It was a little different, yeah.
So I don't know. They're playing with some things. They're just really, I thought were very interesting in this one.
So the thing that I wanted to point out is talk about Valen Hess, right? And this is important because he is the namesake for the episode. He is the believer, right? He is the imperial devout former commander of Mayfeld, right? And they make a reference to Operation Cinder. So Operation Cinder is did a little research. Operation Cinder is part of something that appeared in some of the novels about what happened right after episode 6.
And a video game. Wasn't it in a video game too?
I think so. I think it was oh gosh, I can't remember which one. But
I think I wrote it down.
People know. So Operation Cinder, the idea of this was that the Emperor basically set aside a bunch of orders for his highest, most skilled commanders and skilled troops, and basically said, hey, if I die, y'all suck. So you should tell everyone to show up to these 3 planets and then just shell the crap out of them.
No, they use satellites. Satellites with lasers.
Yeah. Basically, if you let me die, you don't deserve me. So y'all should just die. And like the best of you go off to the outer regions and then we'll rebuild there. But the rest of you suck, right? So he's referring to is, it's implied that, whatever division Mayfeld was with was basically sent to their death and killed by their fellow troops. Presumably, Valen Hess is one of the commanders that gave the order to kill, all of his compatriots.
Burnin Khan, right?
Yes, right.
Burnin. Anyway, but yeah, no, they use lasers to basically disrupt the weather patterns, so that the planet's basically cooked to death.
Oh wow!
Very quickly, and people are telling us it's Battlefront 2 in the chat.
Oh, cool, nice.
So yeah, because there's a I remember seeing like a video about it, and like the Emperor's in red, and there's like people looking up as these satellites all go. But I think they could only do one planet at a time. I think they had to move the satellites from planet to planet. So I don't know if Burning Khan was first or what, but I would think that if you are on one of these planets and you found out that another planet was burned, you might want to just like get the hell out of Dodge. And Andy, you kind of threw it away a little bit there, but I actually agree with you that he was the true believer that the episode was referencing. I think a lot of people assumed that the believer was Migs Mayfeld, and like seeing him switch into becoming a true believer and the Empire being bad. But I think that the true believer was that guy, and his name is Richard Braid, and he was like he was in Batman. He was the original Night King in Game of Thrones for a few seasons before they brought in, I think they ended up having the stunt director be the Night King for the later seasons, or the fight choreographer or whatever. But the fact that it's creepy how he's just like,
fanatical.
We had to burn them, and I sleep well at night.
Yeah.
So one quick thing about titles, different properties use them for different reasons. When you're talking about chapter titles, episode titles, entire titles of movies, a lot of the idea is to get together not just, to obviously tell what it is, but to also keep a theme running throughout the show and the story that's playing in the heads of the people who are reading or watching the episode. So with something like The Believer, you have to put that across all the characters and getting into a sense of what that means for the show as a whole. And now we've got The Mandalorian, as we said, without Grogu this time. If you take the title and kind of try to apply it to him, it's like, what does he believe in? And we've gotten to the point where he's gotten to a very strong belief that, yes, I believe in fatherhood of, this child, this being. This is something I have to take care of. I mean, I'm willing to show my face
in a while, right?
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So it starts to call into question his beliefs and where he's at, and so stuff like that. When you go back and rewatch these things, it's something to really take into account. The titling of it. I just want to throw that.
I was just going to say, how much of a literature deep dive do we want to do into that title? I was going to say that I agree with you 100%, because on the plot level, it is the commanders, and tying up that, bringing Mayfeld's story full circle. So on the plot level, it's that. But like you said, and it does, and it actually brings it back full circle to the beginning of my discussion about this episode, even where I said that Mayfeld being used as a foil to reveal what the actual like sticking point for Mando's character is. Every relationship that he's built because of Grogu has challenged what his definition of the way was.
Yeah. And
in the episode, we finally have Mayfeld putting that into words, is basically challenging Mando to define what the way is for himself.
Well, and again, we have the Mando having to rethink his judgment on a character, whether it was Cobb Vanth, whether or not he was worthy of the armor, or same thing with Bo-Katan. Now we have him coming into this completely distrustful of Mayfield, and by the end of it, he watches him basically just take action blow up that entire base and turn to him and say, and repeating this theme of we all have to sleep at night, right? Which leads him and Cara Dune to basically say, go free.
I like that once he basically showed them of his own free will that he was chaotic good as well.
Yeah.
They were like, you can go, man. You can go. It's cool.
Can I say my theory all along has been that because I thought this episode was going to be more like the Super Friends getting together.
Me too.
To go on the mission, and now I think I think that next week's episode is going to be more like the end of Empire Strikes Back, where we're like, it's like we're leaving on doom and gloom, and then we're going to see the Super Friends gather in the beginning of season 3.
Season 3.
Okay, yeah.
That
I agree
Grogu won't
with.
be rescued until season 3.
Yeah.
So any quick
payoff?
any aside from that, any quick speculations on what we might get with this last episode, directed by Jon Favreau? We don't know what the screenplay is about. We don't know what the title is exactly.
We don't know the director.
Yeah. I'm sorry, screenplay is Jon Favreau. We don't know the. Yeah. Thank you.
The one thing I actually want to hit on too. It did occur to me that this episode was also as so many episodes have been backdoor pilots. This was our first taste of what the Rangers of the New Republic could be, because that dynamic and contrast of Mayfield and Cara Dune, I mean, it's built right there, right?
She was like straight up turned on by his shooting skills. Did you see that look she gave? She was like, damn, boy.
Oh, also, yeah, all the little. I actually loved Cara Dune and Fennec Shand, giving each other some side eye. Go, yeah, like that whole 3 up top, got it. That was awesome.
I'm so sad about the actress because I love Cara Dune so much.
I know.
It's definitely going to be an awesome finish. I can't see how they'll screw this up. I'm so excited for it. Hope you guys are too. Really quickly,
the Jedi. I'm hoping that if Grogu contacted a Jedi, they might at least tease that.
Yep, and that leads me into my next thing. We got the hanging plot threads. So let's see what we got here. 1, did the Seeing Stone successfully call a Jedi Master? Who's out there? Who heard the call? What's going on with that? And number 2, the covert Mandalorians are still around hiding. We've got the armor and anybody else who might have survived. So we don't know what's going on with them. Potentially the armor as a member of the Watch, or maybe a former Darth Maul acolyte, right? Yeah, that's right. For people who didn't catch that little head nod, literally.
Oh, my head.
It's almost over, Trace.
Okay,
Bo-Katan's building forces to take back Mandalore, so we've definitely got more Mandalore drama, inter-Mandalorian species action. 4, Moff Gideon still has the dark saber. Something's got to happen with that. Moff Gideon experimenting with high M-count blood. We got the New Republic and the Core Worlds. Things are kind of hanging out in there. That may just be a teaser to the Rangers show. We're not sure, but we suspect that's the case. And then we also have Ahsoka doing her thing, searching for Thrawn and playing around with space owls. So it's going to be interesting, and we got a lot going on. We don't even have a length on this one. I'm wondering if it's going to be longer, like the end of the first season, right?
Yeah, it's got to be a long one, right?
Oh, yeah. It will be.
There's so much to do to set up, what the plan is. And
can we take bets on how long? I think it's going to be 56 minutes.
I got Tracy down for 56.
Let's see. What
Andy?
the other episodes been?
Good God. Okay, I'm going to say around 48, just keeping it within range of the longest episode to date.
I'm going 43 minutes.
Although I think you might be right, Tracy. I think it's going to be crazy long.
Wait, we still need Lexi's.
What did you say, Tracy?
I said 56 minutes. Ben just said 43. You say 52. Oh, Oh, are you like straight up Price is Writing me?
Navy.
Wait, what did you say?
Yes.
What did you say, Leslie? 57?
I said 52. I said
52. Okay.
Okay, we've got Ian says 2 hours.
Wish.
Ring capacity, that's Josh. He says 68 minutes. Paul says 50 minutes. Are we writing these all down?
I've written down the ones for the group. Actually, Rodney, throw yours out there too. I want to hear.
Oh, you gotta. Oh, I have a
You
visitor.
can throw it in the chat if you'd like to, Rodney.
Oh,
I have
And
a
right on
visitor.
schedule, Tracy. Oh,
This is
Bailey.
my Pookie Butt Bailey. You have your own hat.
all right. So we are going to find out how long this last episode will be in 1 week. I can't wait, but the bets are in. Crap. We got stuff going on, and we've kind of given our predictions for the finale. I don't know. You guys catch us on the interwebs, on YouTube, as I said, Instagram. We're all at Pod Squadron. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all of your normal podcast channels. Facebook, we're pretty active there as well. So let us know your predictions on what you think is going to happen in terms of length. Yeah, don't be too spoilery. Put a spoiler alert if you might say something a little spoilery. But, we definitely want to hear what you're thinking about going into this last bit. And we'll make some posts about it, too, as we roll into it. So I'm excited. Anybody else got any last things to say?
I'm gonna go take some medicine.
Bacta. Need more Bacta. Tracy floating in a Bacta tank.
Excedrin migraine, here I come.
All right. Well, that was a good solid one. We had a lot of information to cover with the news about the new shows. 2021 is definitely going to be a good time for us. We'll definitely have a lot to say about that. And don't forget, we're not just a Mandalorian show. We're all of Star Wars. So we're going to be getting into a lot of action. And we'll discuss that a little more next week. But next week, we really want to talk mostly about The Mandalorian and the finishing of the season. So it'll just be chock full of that, and be ready for it. As I said, if you got anything to talk to us about, let us know in the chat, in the comments. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all your podcast streams. Let us know. That's our time. We really hope you enjoyed this show. We're having a great time doing it with you. So keep on following us and commenting. Be safe and share. This is Mr. Benja. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Lexi. That's our show. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Andy's going to kill me. I'm sorry. You must remember, the truths that we cling to depend on our own point of view. Only the Sith deal in absolutes. Thank you.
Mazel tov. Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah. That's our show, guys. Thanks. See you next week.
Still on?
Oh, my
We're
eyes.
still on. It's that awkward dead time.
How about now?
Okay, this is like
How about now?
the post show credits, right? Where something weird happens.